Hello, good evening, everyone. We are live on the YouTube channel, The Techie Teacher Mentor. And today we will continue from our last session that we had on MYP unit planning. So today we will look at the second stage of the planner, that is action. Okay. So if you look at your subject guide, in the subject guide, uh, not subject guide, sorry, from in MYP FPIP, from principle into practice. If you look at page number 66, you have this information. Okay. Action, learning and teaching through inquiry. So what does it include? The stage 2, the action includes content, description of the learning process, learning experiences and teaching strategies, formative assessment, differentiation, and resources. So these are the main headings that you will find in stage 2 of your unit planner. Okay, and where will you find it? You will find it in the resource called MYP from Principles into Practice, page 66 to page 69. All right. So what I have done is I have taken this information and when I Googled MYP unit planner stage 2, okay, I get this annotated template. Okay, so this particular template has only the action part of the unit planner, and it is annotated in the sense that explanation is given over here to what you are going to add in the planner. Okay, you can read this, and from this instruction you can add the content of that particular part of the action. So if you look at what does action contain, it is the second phase or the second stage of the unit planning. And what happens here is teaching and learning. How teaching and learning takes place through inquiry. You will see this in this particular stage. So what is the action section? It will contain the delivered curriculum component. What are you going to deliver in your class, in your lesson? Okay, in that particular unit. That part is there in the action section. And it is this part where whatever theory it is there of education, the pedagogy of teaching learning, you will transform it into classroom reality. You will see exactly what should happen in the classroom in this part of the unit planner. Now, what is the focus of this stage? The focus is how students will learn. So, how will they learn? This particular section will emphasize on the learning process rather than the delivery of content. Okay, how are the students learning? It will create meaningful connections between concepts. You know that MYP, one of the approaches to teaching in MYP is that you have to teach so that students have conceptual understanding. Okay, so there you have to create meaningful connections between the concepts that you have selected for that particular unit. So in inquiry, in the stage 1, you already saw that you have to pick one key concept and two related concepts, two or more related concepts, right? So here in this section, you will create meaningful connections between the concepts that you are going to study. The next focus is to build understanding through active inquiry. So there has to be activities where inquiry is happening. Okay. So now what happens during inquiry? What is the learning progression in inquiry? How do you say that this is inquiry based learning? What will you see? Whenever there is inquiry, what will you see?
Asking questions.
Okay.
So,
Asking questions.
so we come up with our questions, children will come up with their questions, or we
Okay.
create a template where provocative questions are asked. Uh,
Okay.
can ask them observations in the surroundings with respect.
Good. So I like the word observation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Uh, So if you go to this document of the PYP, okay, PYP is inquiry based learning. And if you look at the document in the PYP, there is a document called Inquiry Learning Progression. Okay. And it emphasizes on how inquiry skills progress. Okay. How do you develop inquiry learning skills? So you just said observation, right? You said questioning. Okay. It also involves decision making. And you will take roles and you will take turns while you are doing the activities, inquiry activities in your class. Okay. So these are all the skills that you are looking in an inquiry based classroom. And if you really want to see how inquiry based learning takes place, please go to your PYP classrooms and see over there what the teachers are doing and how are they teaching the pedagogy. All right. So going further to the presentation. So you have to build understanding through active inquiry. There has to be inquiry based learning happening in your class. So how will you know? In the PYP, they follow the inquiry, the cat Murdoch inquiry cycle. Okay. And you can also follow it in the secondary. But what I suggest and what I used is the 5E instructional model for inquiry. Have you heard
Yeah.
Yes,
about
yes.
it?
Yes, yes, I'm following
Engage,
it. I got
explore,
it from
explain,
IB
elaborate, evaluate.
Exchange.
You
Uh,
got it from?
IB Exchange, I am from for DP actually. So I
Yeah.
found it very interesting. So engage, explore,
Yes.
then extend,
Hmm.
Explain,
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 extend,
evaluate
elaborate,
also.
evaluate.
execute, and then
Elaborate.
extend.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
So the
found
5E model. So instead of using Kath Murdoch's inquiry cycle, which is very, very useful when they do the PYP inquiry, unit of inquiry, I would recommend the 5E model if you're going to do inquiry based learning in the secondary classroom in your subject areas. Okay. And the last point is that your teaching learning should support diverse learning pathways. Okay. We know from differentiated instruction, when you study about differentiated instruction, you know that different students learn differently. Okay. And one size will not fit all. So then, how are you going to differentiate your instruction and how are you going to support diverse learning pathways? So, this has to be included in the action section of your planner. And you should remember that when you are making this part of the planner, learning is non-linear, okay, and there has to be interconnected planning. All right, and it will evolve around students' needs and discoveries. What are the students wanting to learn? Okay, of course, you will have your learning objectives, you will have your learning outcomes, but you also have to put the student in the center. Okay, when they are learning, so you give student voice, choice, ownership, student agency. All right, so this is about what is there in the action section of the planner.
so when we are asking students, we decide the concepts that they want to learn together, like teacher and the
You can do that when you are going through the first inquiry part of the unit planner. You can frame the statement of inquiry along with your students.
Okay.
Okay, you say that okay, these are the content, this is the different key concept, this is the meaning of the key concept, these are related concepts. What do you think we should do?
Okay.
Okay, which global context do you think we should take? So if you give students the voice, choice, ownership, then there is more active participation from the students, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Mm. So the key components of the action part, what all is there in the action section, I just went through your this document, right, where I showed you this one. These are the parts of the action, right? Content, description of learning process, learning experiences, teaching strategies, formative assessment, differentiation, and resources. Okay. So here, so first is content. Then you look at content will be your subject specific requirement. Okay, what facts or what concepts you want the students to learn through this unit. Then the learning process description, how will student construct their understanding. Okay, learning experiences and teaching strategies, what are the activities that you are going to do, and when you are doing this you should also integrate teaching of ATL skills. Okay, through the content you should teach the ATL skills and use different teaching strategies. So if you are looking at teaching strategies, you need to look at the document called AATT, Approaches to Teaching. What strategy? It has to be inquiry based learning. There has to be we will come to the that part, okay, where we talk about ATTs. Another thing that involves that is there in the action part is your formative assessment. How do you know that students have learnt what you are trying to teach? Okay, and did all the students understand what you are trying to teach? So that you will get to know from giving formative assessment. Differentiation, we said not all students learn the same way. So then how do you differentiate? So when you differentiate, are you differentiating content? Are you differentiating process? Are you differentiating product? Okay, or are you differentiating the environment? The easiest is the environment and the product. Okay, so how are you adapting instruction for all your learners? Not necessary you will differentiate everything. Okay, for a particular unit, maybe I'm focusing on collaboration and cooperative learning. Okay, so maybe then I will differentiate process. So you decide what you want to differentiate. It's not compulsory to differentiate everything. Okay, and the last part is your resources. What are the materials, what are the tools, and what are the support systems that you're going to use in order to drive this particular unit? Now, the first part, very first part in the action part is your content planning. How will you decide what content you want to teach? What will you do, Devjyoti, if you have to teach grade 6 biology? What will you do? Where will you refer to? Because MYP doesn't give a curriculum.
So for the content you were asking, right?
Yes.
MIP, but we have books for MIP also, right? So we can go to the topic list from the
Okay.
MIP science guide,
Okay.
and then that gives the topic, right?
Hmm.
So within that, and then we can refer to the textbook, with the
Ha.
course companion, and we can understand, like for grade 6, if I see like cells, so cells have like the like what are cells, what are the different
Hmm.
structures within the cells, the concept of organelles,
Yeah.
some specialized functions,
Correct.
so on and so forth.
And as a
Cell theory,
if
cell
you are a
theory.
CBSE or an ICSE teacher, okay, content remains same, right? It will not change if the board is different, right? A cell will be cell, and you know that for that particular grade level, this is the depth that I have to go to in order to teach that particular unit or topic. So then you decide, okay, looking at different resources that are available to you, and then you decide what you want to teach. Okay, so what students must learn on the basis of official guidance, what our school wants the students to learn. Okay, local context, if you want to give, then learning goals, clear targets for what students should know and should be able to do in each subject. Okay, so these have to be very clear when you are looking at content planning. Any questions here?
Ma'am,
Hmm. Yeah, Rasika.
ma'am, can we consider like the national curriculum as a first, like what are uh, mandatory things are like
Yeah.
considering national curriculum?
Yeah, you can consider
Yes.
that. But see, when I started off teaching MYP 2004, we used the British National Curriculum. Okay. And in the British National Curriculum, in grade 6, you were supposed to teach reproduction, uh, labor, okay, the different stages of pregnancy and all that. And at that time, I felt that the students were not prepared for that much of content at that time. Okay, but right now I can teach in grade 5 also. But in 2004, I felt that it was too much for my students in grade 6. So what I did was I moved that unit to grade 8. Okay. So you decide as a teacher, depending upon your class and what prior knowledge your students have, and you look at the depth of what you want to teach in your class, in your topic that you are planning for this unit. Have I answered your question?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
here I have a
Yes.
question. So for
Go
like
ahead, Devjyoti.
yeah, so for like biology within
Hmm.
the MYP science guide, there are like 8 to 10 topics which have been listed, and within
Yeah.
that, in brackets, there are some subtopics also mentioned, right?
Correct.
So all those has to be covered in a span of 5 years, right?
Yes.
Now, if a teacher feels that some
That topic list is for MYP 4 and 5 for e-assessment.
but then the linkage has to be there from MYP 1 to
Yes.
3 also.
Yes, because ours is a spiral curriculum, right? Math
Yes, a
and
spiral
science is
curriculum.
always a spiral
It's a
curriculum. Yeah.
continuous spiral curriculum, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
so then connection has to be there from 1 to 3, right?
Yes.
The depth will vary, right? The depth
Correct.
will vary.
Correct.
Like
So
if
grade
yeah,
6 I will teach cell, grade
exactly.
9 I will teach cell, and in grade 11 I will teach cell. But what I'm teaching in that content would
Will
be
vary.
more deeper and more, complex as you go higher up. So in
Mm-hmm.
grade 6 cell, I would say, okay, nucleus and some cytoplasm and some cell organelles. Okay, not all. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if I go to grade 9, I will look at
Mm-hmm.
mitochondria,
Mm-hmm.
endoplasmic reticulum, more
Mm-hmm.
organelles. But when I go to DP, I will do the,
Mm-hmm.
how do you say, biochemical composition of the cell, where I say plasma membrane is a lipoprotein and all that. So I go in depth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Lipid
It is
bilayers.
cell, I'm teaching cell membrane, but how much in depth I'm going will differ according to the grade level.
Right, right.
Okay?
Right.
Answered?
Understood. Yes, yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
People are trickling in one by one. Okay. So now this is what I wanted to tell you about the different strategies that you are going to use in your classes. Okay. These are the MYP, not only MYP, even DP and PYP pedagogical principles. What should happen during teaching, or what should your teaching include? So number 1, it has to be based on inquiry. You have to do inquiry based teaching learning, and therefore students will question, they will investigate, and they will discover things. Okay. Second point, your teaching learning should be focused on developing conceptual understanding. There has to be connections made to big ideas and transferable concepts. Okay. Third, you have to develop your units in local and global context. When students see the connections with the real life, real world applications, then learning, they feel that they have learned something. Otherwise, they will ask you question, why do we need to learn this? Okay. Fourth one is your teaching learning should be focused on effective teamwork and collaboration. That means you will have to plan activities, okay, and teaching learning strategies that will help students to work in a team and collaborate with each other. Okay, so therefore this will also determine your seating in your class. If I'm going to see theater style seating in your class, then I don't know how are they collaborating, because in order to collaborate and communicate, it's a good idea to sit in groups. Okay. So if I'm going to come visit your class and if I see that, okay, theater style thing is happening, my first question would be, how do you ensure that effective collaboration and communication happens during teaching learning in your class? Okay. Then the next point would be differentiated to meet the needs of all learners. So you have to see that your instruction adapts to the different learning styles, learning preferences, and abilities and interests of your students. The last one is that your teaching learning should be informed by assessment. You need to have formative assessment and summative assessment, because this will provide the evidence for how much has the student understood or how much has the student grown in your subject. Okay? Clear? So if I ask you in your sleep also, in the middle of the night, what are the approaches to teaching? You should be able to say these 6 points. These are the approaches to teaching, ATTs. Okay?
Yes. Mhm.
I know that some teachers, DP teachers especially, who are experienced, who say that we are 10 years of experience of DP, still they don't know these terminologies. They don't know what the ATTs are. So this will determine what is happening in your classes, what strategies are you using in your class. So when I come for class observation, I will look at these things. So if you are in a leadership position, ensure that these things are there in your observation, class observation. What am I looking at? Is there inquiry based learning happening? Is the teacher connecting it to local or global context? Is there any teamwork or collaboration happening in the class? Is the teacher differentiating instruction? Are you doing some formative assessments in the class during teaching learning? So all these things need to be there when you are teaching in an IB classroom. Okay? All right. Now, this section, if you're using Manage Back, okay, or Toddle, learning experiences and teaching strategies, this is the place where you are going to put in your ATLs. What are the different strategies that you are using in order to develop the ATL skills along with the teaching of content? So you have to integrate both ATL skills with the content. So effective teaching strategies must meet 4 essential requirements. So what are the 4 essential requirements? Number one, it has to align with the statement of inquiry. We told you, right? In the beginning of the unit only, you should have one broad statement of inquiry. What are they going to inquire about in this unit? The big picture. Okay. Then you have to meet subject group objectives. Means the assessment objectives are same as the learning objectives. Okay, so you have to ensure that you are teaching. If it is science, then you have to teach hypothesis. You have to teach how to write a research question. You have to teach students how to manage safety, the procedure, how to take data, interpret data, represent data, evaluate the results. Okay, so all these things you have to teach in your class. Okay, you have to develop ATL skills. So the 5 broad ATL skills, which skill are you focusing on while teaching whatever learning objective? Okay. So when you are writing down the ATL skills, don't make it like a checklist ki tick, tick, tick. Okay, students have asked questions, so they are an inquirer. Nahi. Okay, what specific skills have you taught? Did you teach active listening skills? Okay, did you teach any communication skills? So that is important. And the last point is prepare for summative assessment. So whatever things are happening in the class, teaching, learning, whatever is happening, it should help the students do the summative assessment, because you have no right to assess what you have not taught. Right? So if
Mhm.
you are going to take any summative assessment on criteria D, reflecting on the impact of science research report, so you should have taught the skills of how to do a bibliography, how to use different sources. Okay, so these are the skills, right, for criteria D, that
Yes,
you
yes.
should have taught.
Reflection.
That you should have taught through the teaching learning experiences in the class, through the formative assessment, through the learning activities that are going to be conducted in the class. Okay, is this clear?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am. Here, under the learning experience and the teaching strategies, uh, uh, touch base on the uh, pre-existing knowledge base, like the prior learning.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is that is also a part of it,
Yes,
right?
that is
In
also
terms
a
of
part of the learning experience. Yeah, you will start with prior learning.
prior learning, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Why do you need to do prior learning? What is the advantage of doing prior learning?
it sets the tone for the class in terms of how much they know. The
Huh. And
teachers
it
can
also saves
plan.
time. It also saves time. If you know that most of your students know what is a plant cell and what is an animal cell, what is the point in again repeating the same thing and wasting your class time? You can do some other activity which is interesting and which will make the students engaged in learning, right? Okay. Okay. So next part is the formative assessment. So before the unit, you need to, like you said, prior knowledge. What do the students already know? Then during the unit, you see what the students are doing and change if anything is needed. If the students have not understood a particular content, then use another strategy to make them understand. Okay. And after the unit, you can think about what was learned and then decide what to do next. Okay. So these all three things you can do through the different formative assessment strategies. And formative assessment strategy is assessment for learning. That means you are helping the students by giving them feedback so that they improve on whatever they have done during the class. Okay. So what is the benefit of formative assessment? It will track how students are growing and improving. It will help you find out how each student is learning best. So if you give a formative assessment like 2 stars and a wish, after I finish my particular teaching a particular topic, I say at the end of the lesson to give me 2 stars and a wish, two things that you have understood very well, and one wish that, I did not understand it. If only Miss could again repeat this particular part of the lesson. So if everybody is writing that same thing in the wish, then you know that okay, next lesson I have to go first, look at that particular part, reteach it, and then go ahead. Right? So it will help you to
So,
find out how what the students have learned, and if they have not learned, then you reteach it. It will help teachers change lessons for different students, and it will give
so isn't this,
students. Mm.
yeah, can I ask,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
can I
Yes,
disturb for
Nina.
a
Mm.
so this 2 stars and a wish, isn't it a reflection strategy for student can be used as FA also?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
See, formative assessments. See, most of us, when you look at formative assessment, especially when you come from CBSE, it's like a mini test before
Yeah.
the big test. It's not that.
No, no, I
Okay.
have, yeah. So 2 stars and a wish I have been using as a reflection thing.
You do it as a formative assessment also कि कितना सीखा है मेरे class में.
Okay.
Or you say 3 points that you have understood, 2 things you are not clear, and 1 thing, oh, I wish Miss would have taught this.
Yeah. So all these I have been using as reflection strategies. I mean, in my previous CBSE classes also, and now also.
Hmm.
So we can use it as FA also.
Yeah, yeah, because it
Okay.
will let you know how much did the student understand. Formative assessments are for us as teachers to know how much have the students understood what we are trying to teach. Okay?
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Give students chances to practice for big tests and uses ways for students to check their own work and each other's work. So peer assessment is also a formative assessment. Okay? All right. Learning that fits everyone. This is about differentiation. You saw, right, in the action part, differentiation is also one part of the planner. So, to help every student learn well, what will we follow? We follow these four main ideas. The first idea is that use what students already know. You start off with what they know, okay, so that they become confident. If you have seen yesterday's session on e-assessments, Vidya, what did she say? She said that many times that IB also likes to give students to feel, accomplished. So they will start with an easy question first. Okay. So you also start with what students already know. Okay. Then you will have to give students different ways to learn and show what they know. So different ways to learn is differentiating process. Okay, how are you going to differentiate process? Are you going to give podcasts to students who are auditory learners? Are you going to give notes, handouts, presentation, videos? What are you going to give so that they learn? Okay? And to show what they know. To show what they know is differentiation of product. Okay? So yesterday, if you would have followed my LinkedIn post, okay, I had posted a video where some people, some of the teachers were enacting something, right? So what I had told them is that
Yes.
in Mesopotamia, okay, there were different classes of people: priest, king, merchants, okay, soldiers, farmers, and slaves. Now you show me this understanding of the different classes of people in Mesopotamia through three different types. Okay, one group will show me through role play, one group will show me through poetry writing, and one group will show me through visual poster. Okay, so the same task, okay, my learning outcome was that students should be able to tell me the different classes of people living in Mesopotamia. Now how they show is their choice. So we give students different ways to show what they know. So product, differentiating product. How are they going to show that what they have known? This fits how each student learns best and at their own speed. Okay. Check and change often. We check often to see how students are doing. Then we change how we teach right away to help each student with what they need. So adapting your lessons. Okay. So when you do formative assessments, then only you will come to know what to change and what to check. What to check and then what to change. Okay. Let students choose. Give them agency. So there is this strategy called choice boards. If you Google choice boards,
Yeah.
okay, it's a
Response.
type of differentiation for differentiating product. Okay, so let students choose how they want to show their work. Okay, this will help them feel in charge, want to learn more, and work on their own. So this is the advantage of differentiating instruction. Next. So, what are the key practices for MYP unit then? So, when I'm going to plan my action part of the unit, what should I do? You start with what students know. Okay. You will connect ideas clearly. Make sure that you link the content to the main ideas, the key concept. Okay. And link your inquiry to the statement of inquiry. What are they learning to the statement of inquiry? Plan for all types of learners. This is differentiation. Okay. Teach ATL skills naturally. So see that the ATL skills that you are going to teach, what are the skills that are needed for the summative assessment? Okay. So if this is needed for summative assessment, what are you going to do in the class in order that the student learns those skills through the content that you're going to teach? Okay. Then keep learning question driven. Students should be able to ask questions. Okay. And use feedback to improve teaching. Give student feedback. Use student feedback and test results to help guide your teaching and support student progress. So, yesterday again, Vidya made it very clear through her spreadsheet that she had, where she did deep analysis of the question paper and also looking at what the student had written to understand what exactly should be the exact answer, correct answer. Right, Debjyoti, you were there
Yes,
yesterday.
ma'am.
So
Yeah.
she did
Yeah.
it beautifully in her session
Yeah.
yesterday.
Right.
Okay. So these are the main practices that you're going to look while teaching, learning, the action part of your lesson plan. Now, next steps. What are you going to do? Review your statement of inquiry. Okay, see that your statement of inquiry connects to the concepts and context. That will help the students to investigate. Okay. Audit your current resources. See what all resources that you have, what all things you need in order to teach that particular unit. Plan differentiation strategies. Okay, if you do not know about differentiation, it is good idea to attend those workshops. In fact, I paid 1.5 lakhs in 2015 to attend a workshop on differentiation by by Carol Tomlinson. So I invested in it. That's why most people know what is differentiation and why you need to do it. They don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. Okay, because I invested in it and I learned it. Then design formative assessments, create ongoing assessment opportunities, which will help to provide feedback to students. Okay. So again, there are many formative assessment strategies. So if you Google over here, this one has some 200 something. Oh no, 60 formative assessment strategies. These are all assessment strategies. Let me share this in the chat. Okay, this has all the different formative assessment strategies. Select teaching strategies. Choose pedagogical approaches that align with your statement of inquiry and support the development of both content knowledge as well as ATL skills. So when I look at teaching strategies, I'm going to look at ATTs. Okay, strategies that will help in teamwork and collaboration, strategies that will help in inquiry-based learning, conceptual understanding, global context, local context, okay, formative assessments, okay, and differentiated instruction. These 6 things should be there in the teaching strategies. So your thoughtful planning in the action section will create meaningful learning experiences that will engage students in authentic inquiry and deep conceptual understanding. When I say authentic, that means relating to real life. Okay? Yes, I'm done. So before we go for Q&A, okay, I will thank my viewers who are there on YouTube, and I would like the subscribe people to subscribe. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, comment, like, share. So thank you so much. I will just end the live stream. And